Good evening, everybody. My name is Paul Swinney, and I am Director of Policy and Research at the think tank Centre for Cities that looks at the 63 largest urban areas across the UK, ranging from Exeter, being the smallest, going through to Wakefield and Barnsley, and then through to places like London, which obviously is the largest. Now, this session is not going to talk about the 63. It's going to talk about 5 major cities in the UK. We're going to talk about Manchester, Leeds, North East, so Newcastle sitting within that. Obviously, Sunderland is very important within that as well. We mustn't forget Liverpool and the West Midlands as well, which obviously Birmingham sitting at the heart of that. We've got 5 great speakers who are going to run through and tell us a little bit about their area and about how well they're doing or their challenges and opportunities in terms of attracting businesses in. But before we do that, I want to give you a brief sort of overview about why our big cities are so important. Now, we did some research at Centre for Cities at the start of the year, comparing the biggest cities in the UK to their comparators in Europe and also in the USA. And what we found is that our big cities are very much punching below their weight. Now, that's important not only for the prosperity they bring to the people who live within them, but also the people that live around them and the job opportunities they're providing. But crucially also, and I think this is the point that national policymakers miss, that underperformance is really, really important for the national economy too. And we estimate that this underperformance of our biggest cities is costing the UK economy £50 billion a year. And the crucial element from this is that we're not going to level up the economy, which is the government's key aim, unless we really do address the big issues that our largest cities face, because they create a lot of prosperity, but they should be creating a lot more prosperity than what they are. And until they do that, we're not going to see the North and Midlands in particular firing the way that we need it to in terms of bringing that wider prosperity, more jobs, better jobs to those areas of the UK and get them to be contributing to the national economy the way that we need them to do. So I think that sort of provides a nice basis to sort of understand where we are and what that means for the policy context. But then let's turn to our speakers to understand what are they doing on the ground to help the renaissance of our big cities, get them to be contributing the way that we need them to, and have lots of exciting insights for us. So without any further ado, each speaker is going to have around about 5 minutes. I do implore them to stick to those 5 minutes, please, because we are running on a tight schedule. I'm going to pass over and they're going to take you through their thoughts. So first up, I'm going to turn to Tim Newnes, who is the Chief Executive of Midas, which is the inward investment agency for Greater Manchester, a body which has been very busy in recent years, and very much look forward to Tim's comments. So Tim, over to you.
Hopefully I'm a reasonable representative of the North. I've sort of spent a lot of my life in Manchester. My parents are from Merseyside. My wife's from Yorkshire, and I went to university in Newcastle. So hopefully, I've got a lot of time for all areas of the North. As Paul said, Midas is the inward investment agency. So our job is to work with companies looking to locate in Greater Manchester. And obviously, therefore, we have a lot of experience of working on North Shoring projects. It's not a new phenomenon. I know obviously government are looking at a serious relocation agenda at the moment in terms of 22,000 roles by 2030 coming out of Westminster. But it's something certainly in my 15 years at Midas that we've been working on pretty much since day one that I've been there, certainly. It's something that I think all cities across the North have something to offer. And depending on what firms are looking to get out of that North Shoring solution, then there's something for everyone, I think, across the different cities. In terms of specific projects that we've worked on in recent years, we've worked on, particularly in the legal sector, the likes of Freshfield, Brookhouse, Derringer, that brought a large operation to Manchester, Latham and Watkins, Brian Leighton, Cave Paisner as well, and many more, to be honest. And certainly in other industries like banking and what have you, we've had a lot of success in the North Shoring agenda. So I suppose from my perspective, I want to talk about 3 primary drivers that we see as being part of the reason for North Shoring, really. Very often it's companies looking to spread operational risk, reduced operating costs and access talent, but also there are other more commercial reasons for them doing that as well. And being able to combine, I think, the commercial and the operational benefits is probably the holy grail that people seek to achieve. So of those 3 primary reasons, really, the first that we find certainly at the moment is about highly skilled talent. Yes, there's a cost competitiveness about that, and certainly all of the cities across the North offer cost competitiveness, some more so than others, but that depends really, I think, on the quality and volume of different specialisms that you're looking to seek and achieve, really. A city like Manchester has a huge volume and also a high specialism rate as well. So about 280,000 people currently employed in financial professional services in Manchester at the moment. And it's a great place to also access talent, not just from Greater Manchester actually, but also the cities, our neighbouring cities effectively. So Liverpool, Leeds, Sheffield, as I mentioned before, only 35 miles apart, and therefore all part of one sort of contiguous talent pool to an extent. And I think that contiguous talent pool piece is actually really important, because if you're looking to build a significant presence and actually for people to have careers here, that opportunity to access opportunities that are not just in one city, but potentially multiple nearby cities, allow people to really build a career. And therefore you're able to attract top talent from not just the north, but potentially globally mobile talent to take advantage of that. We've also seen actually that because of the number of law schools in the north, and particularly in the sort of vicinity of Greater Manchester, actually in recent years there's been an excess of talent coming out of some of those law schools, and therefore a huge amount of talent, legal specific talent, that comes out of those organisations for people to soak up potentially that are coming into the marketplace. So a real opportunity in terms of new talent coming to market. But I think what also makes the city, in terms of Manchester, stand out is that we've also had a big support network as well. So in that business services piece, the banking and financial services community, insurance, HR, accounting, legal, all very, very, very strong and in real depth. And that really supports some of those North Shoring opportunities as well. In terms of examples, I've mentioned Freshfields, obviously, but also one of the other things that people, and the second point really, that people really come to Greater Manchester for, and parts of the north, is market opportunity. The north is a £300 billion economy. It's the size of Sweden in that respect. Manchester represents about or just under 65 billion within that. So there's a massive market opportunity within that. There's large global firms headquartered in this area, UK headquarters like Siemens, Kellogg's, Brother, etc., but also a really big and growing indigenous population of large headquartered companies like the Hook Group, Auto Trader, Boohoo, AO.com, all of these burgeoning, particularly in sectors like e-commerce locally, where there's some huge companies coming to market. So that provides a front office opportunity for firms as well. And the depth and maturity of that market, I think, is a real opportunity for firms that haven't got offices in the north to come and explore as well. So achieving that sort of balance between market opportunity and operational efficiency, as I say, is a brilliant opportunity. And I think that's where we've seen a lot of fintech companies actually North Shoring recently. So people like Oak North, for example, the largest fintech company by capitalization in Europe, which has set up a major operation coming out of London and leveraging that talent pool. And the third and final area I wanted to just mention really was technology and innovation. I think we certainly find that people that come out of, if you like, some of their traditional environments are actually able to reinvent some of the things that they do and bring real innovation into their processes and operations. And that's because there's a fresh pair of eyes, a fresh culture looking at what they do. And we've definitely seen that in terms of how AI and data and fintech and all these other technology areas can come in to actually help sectors such as the legal sector as well. Cybersecurity is a big area of growth in Greater Manchester. We've got GCHQ that's actually identified, moved into Manchester to create its sort of UK growth centre, if you like. So again, real opportunity for law firms to leverage that technology expertise as well, and how they can build that into their business. And that's certainly what we've seen from people like Latham and Watkins, who've brought a big technology function up to the city as well. So I think that technology piece is going to be one of the big areas of growth that we'll see from law firms over the next few years. So as I say, that the talent piece, the market opportunity piece, and then the technology piece, probably three of the big drivers that we see. So I think just to summarise, therefore, I think cities across the north have a really strong offer. Manchester, obviously being slightly biased, I think has a really high quality offer and a balance to that commercial opportunity and that really deep talent piece. And so companies can achieve, as well as cost advantages, they can also achieve much broader benefits in terms of commercial opportunity and also technological advancements as well for what they do. So I'll hand over to Eve, I think, who is the next speaker. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. So my name's Eve Roothouse and I work for Leeds City Council. So I'll give you a bit more of a view from a sort of local authority perspective, because we often work with the local enterprise partnership on inward investments, and we have a slightly different perspective perhaps to a local enterprise partnership in terms of how we welcome businesses to our city, but also how we support businesses to grow when they choose our city. So just a little bit about Leeds and the city region, for those of you that aren't so familiar with us. So the Leeds city region is actually the biggest economy outside of London, with a population of around 3 million and a sort of 7 million within an hour's drive. So that's to the point earlier around kind of actually, if you come to a northern city, you kind of tap into kind of a vast wealth of talent all around those cities. In recent years, we've supported many businesses to successfully open offices in Leeds. So starting with Sky Digital, but then we've also supported Burberry to open a digital hub in Leeds. Reed Smith, the law firm, chose Leeds, and of course, Channel 4. And the investment decisions that have been made for many reasons. Some of them are the obvious ones that were mentioned earlier on. So location. So Leeds is slap bang in the middle of the country. I was talking to someone from Liverpool earlier. We're not going to be competing around marine development in Leeds, because we are less than 2 hours from London on the train, with a location from which you can easily reach all the other northern cities and also get up to Scotland. So often that is something that attracts people to choose Leeds. It's also about quality of life, often the reason why businesses have chosen Leeds. We're really lucky that we have a lot of green space in Leeds. We're the greenest city in Europe after Venice. And with our new city park that we're developing, perhaps we might beat Venice. I'm going to have to check that one out. But also great access to areas like the Yorkshire Dales and the North York Moors. And often people do take that into account when they're thinking about Leeds as a location. Similar to other northern cities, I think it's underestimated the talent pool that's available in the north of England. In the city region, in Leeds city region alone, we have 9 universities. And we have, a wealth of graduates coming out of STEM degrees, out of creative degrees every single year. And that's a great talent pool to access for those people that choose to locate in our city. We've also, I might be slightly biased, got a proactive and supportive local authority, but this was mentioned earlier on today. Actually, the roles that local authority play is really important for businesses and where they choose to locate. So in Leeds, we've got really clear strategy, we've got really clear direction about where we want to go as a city in terms of having a real focus on delivering inclusive growth, on addressing the climate emergency and being the best city for health and well-being. And when we're talking to businesses about Leeds, yes, we cover all of the items like cost of property, access to talent, but we also tell them about our objectives and how we're working to really deliver growth across the city that addresses the issue that was mentioned at the beginning by Paul around closing the gap on equality in our city. And we talk about the other aspirations we have to give people a feel of what kind of city they're going to be locating in. And that often is really important to people when they're making those choices. We also do a lot of work to support businesses when they've made the choice, and this will be the same across other northern cities. We spend a lot of time helping to help people to plug into the city, into all of the different universities and networks, but also with recruitment of staff. So it doesn't stop when a business decides to locate in our city. We work really hard to help them transition really quickly and mobilise fast. And I'm sure that's the same story across the other core cities, both in the north and the Midlands. Innovation has also been a big thing that I think has been a draw, and our focus on innovation. So we've done a lot of work around mapping and understanding our fintech ecosystem and what the potential is in Leeds. And that really assisted iWalker in their decision to locate in Leeds. We've also got long-standing kind of networks that have emerged over the last few years, like FinTech North. It was mentioned earlier about North Invest, an angel investment network that was established in Leeds. and the Leeds Digital Festival. All of these things create a really dynamic environment. And more than that, over the last 2 years, we've been participating in the Massachusetts Institute of Technology REAP program, the Regional Entrepreneurship Accelerator program. And off the back of that, we've done some detailed work around our innovation ecosystem. And we've now got a very focused plan about how we're going to accelerate innovation across the city and the wider region, which is very exciting. So all of these things kind of are what people take into account when they come and make a decision to locate in Leeds. But, you know, taking the conversation on a bit further from the previous remarks that were made, in the context of COVID-19, I think all of us are also considering, so what's that going to mean for how businesses want to operate in our cities? And we're already taking that into account as part of our recovery plans in our respective places. Certainly in Leeds, we're doing a piece of work now to understand the future of city and district centres and to engage our businesses in that process to understand what they want from office space in the future, but also to engage our cultural institutions, our retailers, to make sure that really we have a really strong picture about the future that we want to have for the city and the locations. So I hope you can see that from that sort of short introduction, just how important the kind of the locality, the leadership from the public sector side is when you're thinking about where you locate, and kind of understanding how the local authority and the local enterprise partnership in different areas can really assist you to land really well in another city and to really take advantage of the talent and all the opportunities that reside there.
I'm Amar Mirza. I'm the chair of the Business Growth Board at the North East LEP, as well as holding various other roles. But I suppose fundamentally what I'm here as is a business owner. And it's wonderful to hear of so many great advocates for the whole of the north of England. And arguably anywhere and everywhere in the north of England is a wonderful place. But having been born and brought up in Newcastle and lived primarily in the northeast, although worked in London and have worked internationally, I'm going to naturally state that the northeast is indeed the best place in the north of England. And that's not to suggest other places aren't great. I'm just saying from a personal experience, that is all I can share with you. Northeast of England, we have, just to run through some facts and figures, we have 5 fantastic universities, 2 Russell Group universities, we have centres of excellence, we have various organisations that have chosen the Northeast as their home and as their base. And that's not just from a professional point of view, but a personal point of view as well. So growth enablers, I think it's useful and it's wonderful to hear so many people talk about innovation because any organisation or any entity looking to come up north is going to naturally consider why are they doing so, and yes, there's the cost reduction element, yes, there's the quality of life element, but above all else, there needs to be a consideration around your business model. So, are you looking to increase your market presence? Are you looking to explore additional opportunities? And if that is the case, then the Northeast is a wonderful place and the right place for you. If you're looking at desirability, Northeast historically has been a hotbed of innovation, and that's one of the key enablers for growth. The second aspect is digital transformation, and historically digitally enabled organizations were 25% more profitable. That was at the beginning of this year. Now it's a case of, unless you're digitally enabled, you don't have a future. And I'm particularly proud to say some of the foremost tech organizations and the tech expertise across the whole of the UK is here in the Northeast. We have one of the fastest growing tech clusters that have come together. And the third point and we discussed this. I've had a number of meetings over the last sort of week to 2 weeks, is around export strategy and trade strategy. So, we've developed, I believe, one of the first of its kind physical hubs whereby organizations can come and access all of the support they need in one physical space, underpinned by a digital virtual offer to explore importing and exporting. And where inward investment is concerned, we're seeing more and more organizations choose the northeast of England because of our areas of specialism. So we have automotive, we have life sciences, we have renewable energy. So what are the big topical agenda items for existing generations and future generations? Of course, it's around carbon reduction. Of course, it's about our footprint. And it's amazing to see here in the Northeast, we have our centres of excellence focusing on that. But the other thing that we're doing here in the Northeast is we're determined to make the Northeast the most inclusive region within the whole of the UK. So there are so many individuals and organisations that are working collectively and collaboratively. And the final point that I want to make, if that doesn't convince you to come to the Northeast, then yes, we have been renowned for being a happy, party, great city, but we're filled with passionate and positive people, all determined to make a difference. And we've always been industrial in our approach, and we're focusing on that as we go forward. So productivity, industrial strategy, all of those things are at the heart of what we do. And I look forward from a personal and professional point of view to welcoming as many people as guests, or actually as making the Northeast their home. And please do reach out.
Marvellous. Thanks very much, Amar. And I can second those comments about how fantastic the Northeast is. Next up, John is going to tell us about the West Midlands.
Hopefully have the opportunity to perhaps broaden the geographical parameters of today's debate and demonstrate that relocating teams and functions north doesn't necessarily require you to relocate teams and functions to the north. So we're obviously very proud to consider ourselves to sit in the Midlands. So sorry, just to recap who I am, Head of Business Development at the West Midlands Growth Company, so responsible for inward investment into Birmingham and the surrounding city region. So I think as Tim touched on earlier, depending on how you can cut the data and potentially look at geographical boundaries, it's possible to make an argument that a number of the cities represented today have the largest economy or the largest and most developed professional services cluster in the UK outside of London. And clearly all regional cities have something to offer in terms of a compelling point of differentiation on cost versus the capital. So I'm not going to dwell on those points. What I'm looking to do is highlight some of the unique attributes of Birmingham in the West Midlands city region and perhaps dispel some of the outdated misconceptions. So firstly, this is not a stagnant post-industrial economy. This is a region that has been objectively in resurgence over the last decade. So pre-COVID, in the 5 years up to the end of 2018, the West Midlands had boasted a 5-year GVA growth rate that had outstripped London and the South East. And a significant amount of that growth had been contributed by resurgence, particularly in Birmingham's financial and professional services sector. Major investments from the likes of HSBC, who have relocated the head office of their ring-fenced bank to the city, and PwC, a testament to the level of opportunity for successful north shoring here. Certainly in HSBC's case, it was a reflection of the geographical weighting of their lending book, and particularly a reflection of where they'd observed growth in the real economy. Secondly, the West Midlands economy is not all about manufacturing. So whilst the region still clearly plays an internationally significant role in the global automotive, aerospace and rail supply chains, over 25% of our region's £102 billion economy and over 350,000 of the jobs here are contributed by the business, professional and financial services sector, over twice the amount contributed by all manufacturing sectors combined. And the majority of the work done within the region's professional services workforce is not low value, low skilled or back office. So particularly again in central Birmingham, the majority of our professional services employment already exists within the offices of major national and global firms. So just to give an example, we have the largest combined regional presence from the big four global accountancy practices sat in central Birmingham. And estimates from the economic think tank City Ready, Raquel, who spoke earlier's organisation, their research suggests that over 60% of the work done in the sector in the region can be attributed to front office work performed for national and global corporates. So again, similar to what Tim described for Manchester, the vast majority of national and global firms that are based in the West Midlands offer a full service. Clearly, location-driven cost advantages enable a compelling point of price differentiation versus London, such that many of the major national and multinational organisations based in the region don't necessarily feel a compulsion to look to the capital for anything but the most niche advice. And that's really important for two reasons. Firstly, it reflects the fact that there is sufficient market opportunity here to sustain specialised expertise across the board. And secondly, because that deep and broad existing expertise can be tapped into by any potential future North Shorers. So obviously, we want to look to the future in terms of potential opportunity for firms that are considering their future strategy and real estate strategy. I think undoubtedly our city region is emerging as a key location for future talent agglomeration in the UK. So not only has Birmingham welcomed more relocating Londoners than any other local authority in the past 5 years, but we also, as some of the other cities have described, have a world-class cluster of higher education institutions within the West Midlands, and include internationally recognised law and business schools at institutions like Warwick, Birmingham and Aston. And together, the 6 universities that sit within the West Midlands Combined Authority produce more business, finance, legal and STEM graduates than, to our knowledge, any other city region outside of the capital. Graduate retention rates are also materially improving, and we have strong reason to believe that that's a factor that will be accelerated post-pandemic. And in fact, a visible shift in preferred location for PwC grad scheme applicants presented one of the strongest pieces of supporting evidence to underpin their investment in Birmingham. In fact, the firm's largest ever European investment outside of London, when they made the decision to expand their Birmingham presence to 2,500 staff in 2018. So, although competition for talent and a pressure to drive cost reduction in service delivery have historically been one of the kind of key underpinning determinants of North Shoring decisions, the pandemic will no doubt have focused the minds of many in attendance today that digitisation, automation, AI-led augmentation of service delivery will increasingly determine the winners and losers in the sector over the next decade. So in order to ensure that we remain relevant as a region and to drive productivity growth within the sector, we're advancing what we believe to be the country's first professional services technology cluster organisation. We're really excited that that'll be launching in January. So this body will aim to spur innovation, not just across fintech, legal tech, insurtech, prop tech, etc., but to really focus on the intersections of all of those sectors, to look to unlock opportunities for new thinking, business models, and differentiation in products and services. So the 2020s provided a unique array of opportunity for the West Midlands to bounce back from the impact of COVID and continue the resurgence of the last decade. The government has backed the West Midlands as the UK's first large-scale 5G testbed, and that will underpin significant opportunity for growth in fields like connected and autonomous vehicles. And in 2022, of course, Birmingham will fall under the global spotlight as the host of the Commonwealth Games. Later in the decade, HS2 will arrive in the city, and we're really confident that will underpin significant future development and a pipeline of professional service opportunity that will stem from that, as well as further investment in the region. And of course, until phase 2 of HS2 completes into the 2030s, providing that ongoing connectivity further north, Birmingham will stand alone as the regional city with the strongest connectivity to and from the capital. So with the depth, diversity, connectivity and scale that Birmingham and the West Midlands has to offer, and crucially only a limited number of firms having thus far explored rollout of high volume process driven work doing delivery, particularly in the legal sector, we have a strong feeling that Birmingham remains a relatively underutilised resource in terms of talent availability, and potentially primed to offer significant cost benefits for anybody willing to take that sort of first mover step in the sector.
A lot of interesting things that come out from that. I think 2 themes that ran through from what people said. One was the importance of the universities and the graduates coming out of it, and that's very interesting to hear in terms of particularly certain types of graduates coming out. And the second one, I think, is the looking forward to industries that are potentially going to drive the economy forward in the future. So I think very much as John was saying, there is a a perception, I think, of a lot of these places that they are, suffering a post-industrial hangover. They're all sort of Victorian buildings and broken glass windows, where when you visit these places, that's clearly not the case. And it's interesting that these places are looking forward to those sectors and those innovations for the future, rather than just thinking about what's happened in the past. I hope that was very informative. That was a quick whiz through of 4 places. As I said in my introductory comments, these places are going to be crucial if we are going to level up the economy, and we're going to see growth outside of the Greater South East to match the fantastic growth that we have seen inside the Greater South East in recent years. And no doubt the efforts of colleagues in terms of what was set out so far and what they will continue to do in the future will help achieve that, both from a national perspective and from a local perspective as well.